Welcome to Backstage with Becca B with special guest Jennafer Newberry. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca B. On today's episode, if you've seen the Wicked tour, you might have gotten to see her in the Ensemble or as an understudy for Glinda. She's also been in shows such as Disney's Freaky Friday and Finding Nemo the Musical at Walt Disney World. Please welcome Jennafer Newberry. Thanks for joining me on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm glad you could join. How have you been? How has life been with this whole quarantine stuff?
Oh my gosh. It's been interesting.
Yes.
The first 4 months were we're okay. The first 4 months were I'm cooking every day. I'm working out all the time. I'm reading and catching up on TV shows and catching up with friends and stuff. And then month 5 hit and I was like, how long is this going to go on for?
Yeah.
And so that has been my reality. And I think I've spoken to a few friends who are like, yeah, that's actually what's going on. It's just a very strange reality, and wondering when we're going to get back to normal, quote unquote.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was saying to someone last week that we were supposed to be back to normal by now. Yeah. In March, we thought that April was going to be our normal again. So it's been weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a strange time.
Yeah, we left tour and we were like, oh, see you guys in 3 weeks. And then we were,
JK.
Every month we were like, okay,
yeah.
Are we done yet? And now we're just like, when are we done?
Go back. I can imagine. Because, as a fan of theater, I miss theater, so I can't even imagine how much performers miss performing on stage and being in their happy place performing for an audience.
Yeah, it's so strange.
Well, anyways, I have a ton of questions.
Awesome.
So I'll start at the beginning. Have you always known that you wanted to be a theater performer? And if not, when did you first realize?
Yeah, I have not. I grew up performing. I grew up singing and dancing, and I grew up doing pageants, actually. And so when I started, my mom always took me to the theater too in Houston. I'm originally from Houston. So she always took me to see the touring shows that were coming through town. So I always grew up loving musical theater. But I don't think I really was I was never in theater programs outside of school. And then I went to a magnet school for high school and for middle school and for high school. And I just realized how much I loved it. And I got to do my first production in middle school, which was Plain and Fancy. And it's a really fun musical.
That's fun.
It is. It's fun. And then I did 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. And then my 8th grade year, I did Bye Bye Birdie. And that was really fun. I got to be Ursula. And it was just so fun. My dog is right here, just staring at me.
Hi.
But it was, and I don't think I realized. Oh, you can probably hear her.
We should just get our dogs on a FaceTime call by themselves, and they can just.
And they will be so amused with each other. Yeah. She's so funny. But yeah, I don't think I realized, oh, I can do this for a living, but I just loved it so much. And then I was like, okay, and then I went to the high school for the performing and visual arts in Houston, and I was a vocal major, and I loved musical theater. And I remember seeing The Lion King at the Jones Hall the touring production and just like bursting into tears and just being like, I have to do this for the rest of my life. Like, I can do this. I want to do this. Not specifically, obviously, that show, but I like was just obsessed with every performer in it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I think I saw Rent right after that as well. And I was just like, I'm sold. Like, these are my people.
I have to.
And that's when it changed. Before, I wanted to be a doctor. I grew up wanting to be a doctor, wanting to go to like Baylor and be a surgeon.
Wow.
Very big.
Yeah.
Very big change.
A huge change.
Yeah.
Speaking of Houston, a girl from Houston asked, how did you find theater to get involved with in Houston? Because she was having a hard time with finding theater in Houston to get involed with. Her name's Keely.
Kaylee?
Keely.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I was fortunate enough to like do productions within my middle school and high school. I never really did productions outside of that, but I had friends who did, and they did productions with Hits, which I think is still around, and with Tuts, which is Theater Under the Stars. They both have great kids programs and programming, but I'm not sure if they yeah, those are the two programs that I know about, and I know that there are some regional like smaller local theaters as well that you can like audition for and be a part of. I think you have to pay to be in the programs for Tuts and for Hits, but I don't know anymore. It's been so long since I've lived in Houston, so I'm not totally sure. But there's always amazing theaters around town that they rely on kids. They rely on kids to be in their productions. So. And
you've done a ton of regional theater. I don't think it's been all in Houston, but I saw Florida a lot of places for regional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite regional production to be a part of? Because you've been a part of some big shows.
Yeah. That's a hard one. So I got to be a part of the co-pro of Freaky Friday right after when it launched at La Jolla Playhouse with Heidi Blickenstaff and Emma Hunton, and that show was like so fun to be a part of, because it was they had just opened it in DC the year prior, and then it was going on a co-pro, and so I wasn't a member of the original cast, but I was a member of the cast right after that, and with so much of the original cast still there, and it was really just an incredible thing, and it had always been a dream of mine to work at La Jolla Playhouse, and so we got to take it to La Jolla, we got to take it to Cleveland, and we got to take it to the Alley Theater in Houston, which is I've always performed there, and I got to perform there, so that was incredible as well. It was just the first big production that I had gotten to be a part of, that was just it was just so professionally handled, and so it was just an incredible production. Yeah, I think that was it. But I've gotten to do a lot of amazing productions in Orlando, and I got to do Finding Nemo the Musical at Disney World, which
that's awesome.
Talk about professional. It's just incredible production. And then I got to do a lot of amazing regional stuff down in Florida as well.
And I saw an all-female cast of 1776.
Yes. It was such an interesting concept. We were like, okay, how do we do that? And of course, and I had a friend actually reached out to me and was like, oh, our theater is actually going to do that. So can you talk to us about that? And so that was incredible. And then now, of course, they're doing the production that's on its way to Broadway. and that's incredible as well. So I actually got to play one of the two women in the show. So, but I got to play Martha Jefferson. But that was a really fun production too. At a really cool time, because it was right before the 2016 election. So it was we had talkbacks, and the talkbacks after the show were very interesting.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but it was just really fun, because like that was like, you know, we had a woman running for president, and so it was just cool to see, and it was just like a beautifully cast show. We had such diversity in terms of literally every sense of the word. It was really beautiful. We had all different ages, all different races, all different sexualities represented on stage, and it was really, really, really cool to be a part of.
Something that's like groundbreaking. And was Freaky Friday around the time or before or after the like new Disney movie came out?
It was right before.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
So like,
it was like the buzz was going on kind of probably about the movie.
Well, we found out that they were making it into a movie in Cleveland, like at the end of Cleveland. And that's when like we were like, oh my gosh, like, are they filming this version? Are they making it into like a Disney Channel original movie? And that's when we were all just like, oh, interesting. Because that's when we found out. And we were all hoping that they would take some people from our cast, and they took Heidi, which was incredible, because that rarely happens. You know,
Yeah.
You rarely see that the people who originated the role get to go and do the movie, we were also happy for her.
Yeah, it's something that like we want to happen more, but it doesn't happen enough.
Yeah.
Yes. So when did you like did you move like officially to New York, and when did you move to New York or start doing shows in New York?
Yeah, I moved to New York for college. I went to college in New York. I went to N.Y.U. And then I was up there for a while. How long was I up there? Well, obviously for the 4 years of college, and then a little bit after, and then I got cast down at Disney. So that's when I moved down to Disney, and I did that whole thing. And then I had always wanted to go back to New York, because I loved the city so much, and I desperately was like, I've got to get back. But so I kept going. When I was down in Florida, I kept going back up and auditioning and stuff, and then I got offered Freaky Friday, and I was like, well, this is a great opportunity. I'm gonna have to put in my notice at Disney and go do Freaky Friday. And then when I did the show, I was like, well, afterwards will be the perfect transition time to go back to New York, because I will be catapulting right off of the show, and that'll be the perfect time. So that was the time.
Nice. And what was your experience like with theater at N.Y.U? Yeah,
it was I'm trying to like think back to it, because I took a year off. I did 3 years. I took a year off and went and worked for Disney Cruise Line, and then
That's so fun.
Yeah, and then I finished up, and so I loved it. I loved the program. I think more than anything, because I had incredible teachers, but I think more than anything, I loved the fact that I was in the city, because there's just something that can't be taught about a city as massive as New York. Like, you know, that was something that I felt we really had the leg up on, because we basically, like, I went on my first audition my freshman year of college. I just was like, there's this call happening. I know that I'm right for this show because I just saw it like last week. So I went to it, you know, and it was totally worth it. And like throughout college, I could go, you know, if I had a day off, or if I was like, well, I'm going to go to this audition, I could just go to auditions, and it was in my backyard. And so when I graduated, I knew where everything, all the auditions took place. I knew, like, I had the experience in the classroom and out of the classroom of the city. So that was really awesome.
And it all seemed like more accessible and more like I can definitely do this as a career. Like,
Yeah,
Probably.
it was more of a reality. And like any night that I didn't have class, and any day, like any weekend, I saw, I think, almost every show on Broadway my first year at NYU, and some of them twice, because I could do student rush, and so I wasn't spending a ton of money, but I could like go. So that was another thing. I'd like would just get up on the weekends and be like, okay, well, I have homework, but I also have homework to go like and see the shows. And so if you were ever feeling disheartened, or if you're ever feeling like, oh gosh, why am I doing theater? It was in your backyard. So you could just go and say, oh, that's why.
Yes.
Yeah.
And get inspired by all the people on stage.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know when this was on your timeline, but I saw that you originated a role in like a workshop.
Oh, yeah, let me think. Which workshop? I'm trying to think, because I did,
It says like Lily or something.
Yeah, okay, so that's the one that I thought that you were talking about.
Okay.
I got to, so Bobby Cronin wrote an amazing musical, called Welcome to My Life. What was it called originally? Gosh, I don't remember. But it was about teens who just were like really struggling with either substance abuse or any kind of like issues, and they went to this camp in the woods and like basically learned how to get over that and get through it. And it was just this cathartic experience. It was a beautiful show. If you haven't heard the music of Bobby Cronin, go and listen. Go Google him. He still teaches in the city, and he still writes music, and he's great. And that was really fun. That was a really fun experience, just getting to like put something on its feet for the first time and like find it, It was really fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that's every theater performer's dream, to like originate a role.
Truly. Yeah. It really is.
How is it like specifically different from being cast in a role that's already been around?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, well, obviously, like, you get to kind of pick all the like nuances of the character, and you get to just make her who she is. But it's so interesting, because being a part of a show like Wicked, that has been around for nearly 17 years, I feel like we're still invited into that. Like, make it your own, bring yourself to the character. So it is different, but in a way, it's not too terribly different, because when you're given good material, I have, at least my experience has always been, even if it's been done a million times. Oh gosh.
You're good.
Oh no. How did that happen? I'm turning this on Do Not Disturb. That was crazy. Anyway, like I was saying, even if a show has been, like a role has been done, the best way to get a genuine, true performance out of it is to not like say, oh, copy so-and-so, or can you do it more like this person? Because each person brings their own unique spin. It's like, that's why we love characters like Elphaba and Glinda, right? Because we've seen so many, we're like, and that's why there's this huge debate of like, who is the best X, Y, and Z in these long-running shows, right? And it's like, you're going to get a million different answers because there's a million different fans. And I think that's what makes it so exciting.
Yes. And speaking of that, this was a little further down on my list, but I'm going to bring it up now.
Yeah.
Because we just mentioned it. How do you go about making Glinda your own in Wicked?
Oh my gosh. I feel like this is like something I learn more about with every rehearsal, with every time I go on. Because like Glinda, when I did my put-in to when I did my last Glinda performance, which was in Columbia, South Carolina, on tour recently. She grow, like, the character grows. It's just like any person, right? And especially once you feel really like solid, and you just stop thinking about oh, go to this mark and you deliver the line this way. You just start to, like, instead of just put on the character, you are the character. And that's what truly makes it so unique. And I've gotten to witness that with so many different women in these roles. There's like this moment that it just kind of shifts from they're doing the role to, oh, they're literally being themselves right now out on the stage. Especially, I think a beautiful representation of that is in Popular, because there are of course there are set places to go, but there are unique quirks that each woman brings to the show. And nothing is more heartwarming to me than to see, you know, Amanda Jane be Amanda Jane on the stage in that moment, and to see Erin Mackey be Erin Mackey, like and Allison Bailey be Allison Bailey. Like, those are just, that's so fun to me. And so I strive to do the same thing, and I strive to, because my husband tells me all the time, he's like, you must not even be acting in that song. Because I'm just such a goober, and I'll be like jumping around and doing weird things. And I realized it was like, oh, like, I can be my goofy, quirky self in that song and still be Glinda. Like, yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, well, yes, definitely answered that question. I'm gonna get back to more like Glinda stuff later, but I want to know first, how was your audition process for Wicked, and how did you when did you find out you got cast in it?
So my process was very quick. I found out on a Thursday that I was gonna be going in on Friday to sing, and then I found out the following Monday that they wanted to see me to dance on Tuesday. So I danced, and I got kept to the end on the dancing on Tuesday, and then I found out on Wednesday that I was getting the offer. So literally, like, less than a week. Happened in less than a week. And then I was on a plane to Denver on Saturday. So yeah, it was like first audition Friday, a week and a day later on the plane to go. So it was very
bye, friends.
Yes, very, 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 very fast. But it was amazing. And I had been auditioning for the show for a while anyway, which I've felt is a lot of people's experience. Yeah, I just knew something about this time was different, and it was.
and it worked.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were when you heard that you got cast in it and you were going on tour?
Yes, I was at my survival job. So I worked for like a all-purpose wellness center, chiropractic care, all of that. And I was at a health fair at an office building, and I had literally like just gotten there, was setting up, because I had of course gotten lost on my way. And so I was getting there and I was setting up, and the health fair started at noon, and I got a phone call at noon from my manager, and was just like, and I looked at the person who was assisting me, and I was just like, I have to take this call. I am so sorry. I will be right back. And I like went into the corner, got the call. It was just flabbergasted and couldn't wait. Yeah. I was like, what? And I think I was on 53rd Street, I think. So I was 3 blocks, and Broadway. So I was 3 blocks away from the Gershwin. So after words. I walked over to the Gershwin and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is happening.
This.
Yeah, it was just the most surreal experience. Like, crazy.
To be that close to that theater, just like iconic moment.
Oh yeah.
And do you remember who the first Glinda and Elphaba were that you saw in Wicked?
Oh, that I saw. Okay. I'm pretty sure I saw Idina Menzel. I did see Idina. Because Kristen left before Idina, right?
I'm not sure right now.
Sure that Kristen left,
but you might be right, because I think.
Yeah,
I know you might be right.
One of the original witches, and I'm pretty sure it was Idina. I think I saw it I know I saw it in August of 2004 on Broadway. So I think that I saw Idina.
Yeah.
And then I think I must have seen Jennifer Laura Thompson as
Glinda. Whoa.
Yeah, because I think she replaced Kristen.
Wow, you saw it early on.
Yeah, I saw it very, very early. I was very fortunate. And then I never saw it on tour, but then I've seen it several other times. I know that I've seen it with Carrie St. Louis and Amanda Jane and obviously Aaron Mackey. I've seen, and I've like performed in it with Aaron and Becca and Allison. So
yes.
And Jackie. Yeah.
Yes. So what's been your favorite thing about life on the road with Wicked so far? How long have you been on the road so far?
I joined the tour in May of 2019. So I've been on the road technically just a little over a year.
Yeah.
And I'd always wanted to do a national tour. Because I just always wanted to see the country in that way and perform in all these different theaters. And I love our tour because the shortest amount of time that we stay somewhere is like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you really get to settle in for those 16 performances. I love the planning aspect of like finding Airbnbs or picking a hotel. Like I love that. I just love traveling, which is probably another reason why this time is so difficult for so many of us.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then I love the theaters. I was actually just thinking about that today. I was thinking about, gosh, I just miss, like, I can look back and I think over that year I did 16 cities, I think. And I think back on them and I was like, man, I loved the theater in St. Louis. Gosh, I loved the theater in Atlanta. They were both Fox theaters. And, oh, gosh, I loved, I made my debut in Seattle. And then I made my Glenda debut in Eugene. And so every single theater holds a very specific memory. And I can think back on every single city and just remember these cherished moments, either with castmates or with people that we met while we were there, or like a favorite restaurant that we found. It's just a really cool way to see the country. And I'm very fortunate that I have my husband and my dog with me.
That's so fun. It's like a never-ending adventure when we're not stuck inside in quarantine.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite site you've seen, like, before a show or on an off day?
Let me think. I think, because we've been to a lot of cities so far. Well, when we were in San Jose, we were so close to San Francisco, so we got to like go explore a little bit there, which was incredible. And then when we were in Atlanta, Atlanta is just like the coolest city. And I'm a huge Stranger Things fan. Like, I love Stranger Things. So we got to go to the Hawkins lab, which was so fun. And I loved St. Louis. I absolutely loved when we were in St. Louis. And we got to do the Gateway Arch there, which was super fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I could literally probably go down the list and tell you my favorite in each one of the cities that we went to.
You're like everything.
Truly. And like we were in New Orleans, and I mean,
yes,
New Orleans was incredible. Yeah, I could just keep going. They're all amazing. I love it all.
And you're also, when you're not Glinda, you're in the ensemble for the show.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite moment in the ensemble? What's your favorite scene to be in the ensemble?
I love when I get to wear the, some of the people in the show call me Cupcake when I wear it. The green dress that looks like if you turned me over, I'm like a toilet scrubber.
Yes.
And the big blonde wig. Like, I love more than anything. I love that costume. The costume is just so intricate, so beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I love being a part of One Short Day. Like, that is just the most, I mean, just epic, right?
Yes. I mean, all the numbers are epic in the show. Honestly. Especially when, like, everyone's on stage and you're, like, watching the magic happen in front of you. It's just, it's
I know.
Magical.
It's so incredible. Yeah.
And you mentioned a name for one of the ensemble characters you have. Do you name your characters? This might be your favorite question because I talked to John Krause the other day and he was like, I name my characters in the ensemble like this and then. And I was like, what?
I mean, my character technically does have a name in Shiz. My name is Fanny. P-F-A-N-N-E-E. It's like the weirdest, and my husband read it in the script one, he's like, Epiphany. And I was like, no. Fanny. It's Fanny. Yeah, and so that's that character's name. I would say that, like, I call myself Cupcake when I'm in the green. And then for Mob, I don't have a name, but I strangely look very, very, very much like my mother in that wig, in my Mob wig, because my mom's, like, hair is down here, but it's brown. And when I put that bob on, it's like I look a lot like my mother. And then what else do I wear? That's pretty much it. And then when I'm in the Glinda bubble dress, the cast has lovingly, I think Andy Richardson came up with it, but I'm not sure of the complete origin of the name. They lovingly call me Polly Pocket Glinda because I'm, like, just a very small Glinda. Yes. Is, like, massive, and I'm 5.
Yes. How heavy is that dress? The Glinda dresses, because I know the Alpha one.
They all vary depending on, like, the height and width of the dress itself. My dress is like 13 pounds, I think. So it's a workout.
Yeah. All those costumes, they're like, we want everyone to get workouts on stage while performing. Apparently.
Honestly, they're like, is it easy to dance in? Then it just won't do. Let's make it a little bit more difficult. Yeah.
And do you remember the day that you made your Glenda debut? And what was it like?
Yes, I do. It was a Saturday matinee. I was in Eugene, Oregon. I was on the phone with my husband, and it was insane. I got a text from our stage manager, and he was like, do you want to make your Glenda debut today? And I was like, yeah. I do. It was 2 weeks after my put-in, so it was still very fresh in my mind. And so I just remember grabbing my script and, like, warming up and, like, looking through everything because it felt very fresh. It felt very good. It felt fantastic. but that was the first time I had ever gotten to work with Marianne. And I remember going out onto the stage at basically 5 minutes till half hour to do our fight call, and she was just like, "You're gonna be great," and she's the best. And I've just like spent how many months? 2 months just being like watching her be fierce and flawless every night, and there we are having our fight call, and she's like, "Let me know if you need anything," and I'm like, "Okay."
I can imagine that it's kind of like that it's like a strange or weird experience, like watching people on stage and then performing with them and being like, wait, whoa, I'm like actually like performing with the person I've been like in awe of over, and like you're on their level performing with them. Like that's awesome.
It was so incredible, and I felt so safe with her, and I felt like it was so fun. It was so fun. I've gotten to perform with 4 different Elphabas.
Wow.
I'm so grateful that she was my first. It was so awesome.
Wow. And how do you think that you're like Glinda, and how do you think that you're different from Glinda?
Yes. Okay, that's a good question. Well, I think I'm quirky and, you know, a little bit like weird, like Glinda. I think that Glinda comes from this genuine place of just having to kind of just be the center of attention because she doesn't know anything different. And I can sense that. I can sense that within myself of like, I think that's a human want and desire. But I think I'm a little bit more well-adjusted to realize that for the most part, to realize, oh, like this is not about me in this moment. Like, you know, I don't have to make it about me. Isn't that a lifelong journey of learning that everything is not about you? But so I think that's part of like a similarity and a difference. And also just like, I think I really do identify closely with Elphaba too, because she just is she's so strong, and she sees things that are being done that are wrong, and she's not afraid to just say that's wrong and we're going to fight against injustice, and that's always been something I've been incredibly passionate about, and I'm learning to find my voice in that, which I think that Glinda sees those things too, but she weighs, is it worth me like giving up you know, social clout or something by maybe ruffling some feathers, and Elphaba's like, who cares? So I think like most people, I identify with both women. But I would like to think that I identify with Glinda, like wanting to help people with like the best parts of Glinda, although I probably see some of her flaws in myself as well.
Yeah, she does find it a little hard to grasp that that like the world isn't. That's very true. Yes. It's a good point. Mm-hmm. She also has a ton of hilarious and amazing lines in the show.
Oh yeah.
So what's your favorite Glinda line to like say and make your own when you're on as Glinda?
I like trying to like go through it from like top to bottom. I mean, popular is just always like so fun. And there's genuinely nothing like her first line straight out the gate. Like, oh, it's good to see me, isn't it? You know, because every person delivers it so differently, and it's just so amazing. It's just, the show itself is just written flawlessly. It's written so well.
Yeah.
So I feel like with the scripts like that, you've been like gift wrapped this beautiful like present, and they're like, here you go. And any actor, especially a comedic actor, is just like, ah, because it's this beautiful gift that, like, could it be written better? I don't think so. And I love Glinda. Oh, I love the end when she lays into Madame Marvel. And she's like,
I've always liked the
yes, when she just lays into her and says, you know, like, I doubt you will. I hope you prove me wrong. I doubt you will. And just take her away. I love that because I feel like Glinda it's been like a steady churning for all of Act 2 when she's starting to see everything fall down around her. And she's starting to realize, wait a second, I'm losing all of the people that I love. And I'm standing here alone now with all of the people who made me lose the people that I love. And something snaps in her and she's just like, no, you're wrong. I'm standing up to you and it's too late, but I'm still gonna do it. And I just love that. I love when she's just like, no more, you know?
Yes.
It's a good moment. I love that moment.
Have you ever had a moment where you made the person who was alpha with you on stage, like, break character for a second?
Yes, I believe so. So my first time on stage and even rehearsing with, I went on for a Saturday in Columbia, South Carolina recently, and I got to go on for the matinee with Natalia and for the evening with Talia. So we had never worked together really, ever. I had done the popular scene with Talia when she first got to us. I had worked on that with her at the beginning. But I think I made one of them break a little bit, but I can't really, I don't know if I actually did. It felt like I did in the moment, but I was like, oh, I'm not going to stand here and be like, did you just laugh? But I think I made Cecilia laugh during Popular. It's always Popular. Like, that's always Popular. But then also it gets really emotional and for good. Obviously.
Yes.
So like when I did Cecilia's last show. We didn't know at the time it would be her last show, but I did her last show with her. And that was super special. At least I think it was her last show. And that was really special because we had rehearsed together so much, and she helped me like learn the show because she was the standby at the time. And so what we got to do for good, it was like, whoa, this is crazy. That was in San Jose.
Ah!
Yeah.
I missed that performance. I was there for one performance, but I missed that one.
Yeah. That was a really cool day. I had gone on that day earlier with, it was a matinee again. It was a Sunday, I think, and I did the matinee, and then I did the night show, and I remember Cecilia texting me and being like, are you still on tonight? And I was like, yeah, I am. And she's like, it's happening. We've never done this. We never thought that it would happen. So it's really cool.
That's so fun to be in rehearsals with someone and take it to stage, take it in front of an audience.
Oh, yeah. And we truly thought that it would never happen because she's the standby, but then there's 2 Glenda understudies. So we figured if that did happen, it might not would happen with us together. And Marianne is like such a beast that she didn't call out much. So it was very rare, you know. And then the fact that it all aligned on the same day, it was crazy.
And do you have a favorite Glinda song to sing?
Yes.
I'm always amazed by the Glinda voices.
I love Thank Goodness. But I also love Popular. So, and I also love the opening. And I just love anything. I love it all. I love anything that Stephen Schwartz writes ever. So, yeah, I think, but I love Thank Goodness. I just think there's just such brilliance to it. It's such a complicated song musically and vocally and emotionally, and it's like a dream come true for any actor.
Yeah, and you get like the belting moment as Glinda during that song.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
It's so cool.
So we mentioned how long Wicked's been around earlier. What do you think makes Wicked such a successful show 17 years later? Because it opened in 2003 and it's been around since.
Truly. I think that the themes that Wicked encompasses are just, they're universal. They're always going to be true. If you boil it down to like the simplest of terms, it involves good and evil. It involves right and wrong. Like you see the themes of, choosing to, like, they willingly silence the animals, they're taking the voice away from a whole part of their society. They're like basically making animals, they're wild at first, they're part of society, and then they're caging them. And then you see, just like with Elphaba, people looking down on her because she's different. And I think that's obviously the universal theme that most people are attracted to the show about, because she looks a certain way or she acts a certain way, and she has this power that nobody can describe. And instead of embracing that, everybody is scared by it and terrified by her and calling her different. And I mean, these are things that we can literally see in our world today. Yeah. So I just think that it's a show that shines a light on some very real, hard issues, and and you're rooting for the underdog.
Yes.
That's always like, that's from the beginning of time. That's been the story that's been told. It's always been like, look at any superhero movie. It's always light versus dark, good versus evil, and that's our story. If you're gonna simplify it, really, really, really simplify it. And it's so unique because you look and you're like, wow, it's the story about the witches before they became, the good and the bad. And then it begs the question, well, actually, which witch was which,
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it's so interesting because Glinda, everybody's like Glinda the good, and Elphaba's the evil, and she's, but it's like,
is she?
Which way is it actually? So, yeah, that's a long-winded answer. I could talk about the themes in our show for forever. It's such a
yeah. No, I love it. And before I move on from Wicked, since you've been in it for pretty much a year now, do you have any favorite fan experience from like stage door after show?
Our fans are the best, and I will always say that. I am always amazed when I like come out from a stage, like to stage door and like sign autographs, and somebody has a picture of me as Glinda, and they're like, "This is you, right?" And I'm like, I've been on twice. Like, how do you have this? And we just have the best fans, and they are so kind and generous, and they travel everywhere to see us. And yeah, they're, I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite. I loved, we didn't have a official stage door in San Jose, but we had some that's the city that I think I got to go on 4 times when I was there, and maybe 5, and I loved every single time. It was because the fans always came to the stage door afterwards, and they always just like, they wanted to talk, and it was just so fun. Like I got to talk to all these kids about theater and talk to them about like, oh, well, when you apply, like, you're gonna be great, like, and just audition and be yourself, and just getting to give advice to people who want to do what you are doing is, I feel like, such a such a fun thing to be a part
Yes.
of. And I remember being that kid at the stage door and being like, hi, you know, and it's really humbling because I'm like, oh my gosh, like in so many ways I still am that kid at the stage door. I just am in the show now. And so yeah, it's just as fun for me to meet all of our fans as it is for them to meet us. Like, I love it. I live for that. I love it.
Well, you get to inspire all of them, and like when they see you off stage, they're like, "Wait, well, I was just blown away by her on stage when she was performing, and now I'm getting to talk to her off stage." So probably,
It's fun.
yeah. So, speaking of inspirations, who inspires you in the theater world?
Yes. Okay. So I was just cleaning out my high school, like my childhood home, and I found a very old phone that I had like a cutout in the back that you could put a picture in. And I found I'll have to like post this on Instagram or something.
Yes.
Never did, but it was I had all of these cutouts of the Queen herself, Kristen Chenoweth, and then I had cutouts of Kelly O'Hara as well, which are like I had a picture of her from Light in the Piazza. I had a picture of Kristen from Wicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've gotten to do both of these shows. What is my life? Like, I love those women. I love Celia Keenan-Bolger. I think that she's flawless and can do no wrong. I know that there are a lot more women that I have to like just like give it up for. I love Jessie Mueller. She's just incredible. I love obviously Audra McDonald.
So many people have said Audra McDonald. I love that.
Duh. I mean, she's just the most incredible. I mean, there are so many women within the theater community who are just like such lights on stage and off, and like LaShawne's, like she's incredible and always has been, and like the women who have this rich theatrical history within the context of Broadway, you know, it's like you can trace their career from one to still performing now. Like, isn't that the dream?
Yeah.
That's the dream, like to be able to have kids and still be on Broadway, to keep like going. It's just, that's the dream.
Yes.
So, I mean, the list is very, very long.
I mean, there's so many incredible people.
There really are. Mandy Gonzalez is flawless. I could keep going. Yeah.
So speaking of dreams, what would your dream role be? Like after you finish Wicked, whenever, what would your dream role be? I know Glinda is probably one of them, but
oh yeah, I love her. Love that girl. You know, my dream role, right now, I think would be, and it's not even a musical. It's I would just love to be interested with the role of Scout in To Kill a Mockingbird. Have you gotten to see it yet?
I haven't, but I love the book. It was honestly, I mean, I assuming none of my teachers from like 8th grade are going to watch this, but it was the only book I ever finished in school.
It's just, I mean, what Aaron Sorkin and Bartlett Sher did with that show, and I got to see Jeff Daniels and Celia Keenan-Bolger and Gideon Gleck, and I mean, what they did with that show was just, I got standing room tickets because it completely sold out, and I just stood there the whole time just in awe.
Yeah.
Because it's just an incredible, incredible show. And that to me, like that kind of show, along with Celia's other show, Peter and the Starcatcher, like those shows, I'm like, oh, please, somebody let me do this, because I love those roles. They're just incredible. Yeah. I'm trying to think of it another, like a musical theater role. I mean, it's the dream of kind of everybody to be able to originate something and be in the original Broadway cast, obviously. So yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd love to be a part of creating something with the team, and yeah.
That'd be awesome. I would love to see you originate something.
Yeah, it would be so fun.
So if you could revive any show that's closed like too early, what show would it be? Or any like olden golden age show.
Yeah. I would bring back Parade. I love that show. I think it is one of the best written musicals ever. I got to do it at N.Y.U. And in like a black box space, and it was incredible. And I love that show. I just love that show. And I think that it's super relevant still, unfortunately. But I think that there's just so much that can be done with that show. And that show is just such a beautiful representation of so many, once again, heartbreaking themes. And I just think Jason Robert Brown is like a genius.
Yeah, genius.
Just a genius. So I would say Parade. I would definitely say that. I think it was too short-lived. I know that they did the like revival version, not revival, but they did like a version of it out in LA 10 years ago or something. And then we were hoping that would come to Broadway, and then it didn't. But I just think that it's time.
Yes. I think you're like the second or third person who said that to that question. So popular answer.
Gosh, I love that show. I just really do. And I know that there's plenty of other shows that I love. And like all the feel good shows, like those are great too. But man, Parade is just, I love theater and, musical theater and just play, like straight plays that there is a reason that they are being told. Like, have this overwhelming sense of, this is why I'm telling the story. And usually every show has that, even if it is just like a self-exploration journey or something. But like, I really love the shows like Parade and like Violet, and they have these beautiful, like, deep meanings. Yes.
And before I get into some like deep questions, I have like two more kind of lighthearted questions.
Yeah.
What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you while on stage in the new show?
Okay. In any stage, in any show that I've done?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me think. We had a lot of mishaps in Freaky Friday, for sure. I think once I no, those aren't that funny. I think some of the funniest things, honestly, have happened at Wicked. During What Is This Feeling, I have definitely thrown my book because I was doing the choreography so emphatically and I was terrified. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, oh,
like, whoops.
I was trying so hard, and then there it went. I have flubbed a line when I was on as Glinda once, and that was very that felt very strange. There was a time, there was a theater that we had, please don't fire me, but there was a theater that we had, our microphones were, I don't remember if they were upstairs, I think they were downstairs, but it switched, like, during the show, and I put my wig on and my costume on, and I did not put on my microphone.
Oh.
And so I was singing the whole opening, I was doing it, and then I got to the part where I have the line, Glinda, why does wickedness happen? And I say Glinda, and everyone's like, and I realized, I was like, why does wickedness happen? And she starts answering the question, and I look at the girl that I'm standing there with, and I was just like, I don't have my microphone on. And we were both like, and that scene goes straight into the quick change for Shiz.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't think that I even have time to put it on then, but I have to put it on because I have lines in the next scene. So the guy's standing there, and I'm like stripping, and he has my microphone, because I was like, first of all, how am I going to do this? Because I'm changing stage right, and I have to get over to stage left to get the microphone, and then I have to get my clothes on, and there's no way to do all of this, like, in this setup, because this theater is very small. And so I was just like, I don't know what to do. I got the microphone on, I got everything else on, and I don't know how I did it, but I did it. That was this, like, scariest thing. I had no idea that my mic wasn't on until I said my line, and there was no sound coming out, and I was like, what is happening? And then I realized.
Have you ever, like,
the worst?
Have you ever, like, thrown the wand after Popular and like, has it, like, ever hit someone backstage? Because I saw, like, someone, like, fly for it when I was front row one time. And I was like, oh my God.
No, so Bob will probably tell anyone that I need to work on my wand throwing, because I don't hit people, but it doesn't always make it completely off stage. And sometimes it's like, just wear the frock, it's pretty, and I throw it and it, like, thunks. And some people's, like, go really high and then are still on stage. And some people's go so far back that it's like danger zone.
Yeah.
But mine, it's like hit or miss. I need some alone time with that wand to just practice tossing it, because you would think, oh, how hard is this? Turns out it's very hard.
But you're, like, throwing it backwards.
Yeah, but it's like this long thing that's, like, weighted on one end.
Yeah.
So you're, like, chucking it, and if you don't chuck it at just the right, like, height, or if you don't, it's just so strange.
No, I can imagine. I feel like, yeah. I feel like if I was throwing something backwards, it would hit people every time, and I'd be like, whoops, sorry.
Yeah, I'd be like, ooh.
I don't think I was ever good at, like, playing catch or baseball or anything, so.
That's funny.
As a kid. So if we weren't stuck inside right now, where would your dream vacation be?
I really, really, really want to go to, really, really, really want to go to Italy. And I really want to go to Italy and Greece. And I kind of just want to kind of go all over Europe. I would love to go back to London. I've been there quite a few times. And me and my husband have, like, we've been watching certain shows that are set in different places and movies. And I'm just like, oh gosh, I just want to travel, like, literally anywhere. We got married in Colorado, and so we would love to go back there. Really just anywhere right now. Right now I'm in North Carolina visiting some friends, and while we're on our way back to New York. And so I'm kind of like, I want to go to the beach, you know, like if it's safe, I want to go. But I also know that we've got to like take care of each other right now. So
Yes.
there will be time to travel again.
Eventually, hopefully. Yeah. Eventually. I miss it. I miss traveling for theater stuff.
Of course.
To go to like see shows. It's the best.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask this question, and I feel like it's a question I can't leave out because you're the first Glinda I've talked to.
Ah, yay!
So, what was your first time in the bubble like?
It was incredible. So my first time actually in the bubble was during a rehearsal, obviously, and I got to just like they gave me like 30 minutes to like go get in the bubble, go up, go down, all that stuff. It was so exciting and just so surreal because like, you know, you grow up your whole life watching this iconic moment in musical theater history. And I don't know if you know, but the bubble that we use on our tour is the bubble that Kristen entered in on the Tonys. So I like stood in that bubble and I was like,
She's sitting here.
been here. And then the first time that I did it for the show was just one of those surreal moments. I got in it and I was holding the wand and I'm, you know, because we load the bubble mid-stage and then it takes us up and then the whole opening happens. So we're up there for 3 to 5 minutes before we ever even come down. And it's so interesting because it's a different temperature up there than it is down there. It's warmer up there. And also
just the lights.
Yeah, and it can be a little disorienting when you're up there because the curtain goes out. So I always watch, and that's also really cool to watch everybody like starting with good news, and you're like watching and seeing it all happen. It's really cool. And then taking the second and being like, okay, I'm coming from a different place. But I just remember coming in on that bubble in Eugene and like coming down and seeing the audience and just being like, I'm in the bubble. I'm wearing the crown. I'm wearing the bubble dress. I have this huge like wand in my hand. I'm living an iconic moment in musical theater history right now that I have like prayed for countless times in my life, and here I am. Okay. And then you have to like kind of get over that really quickly and tell the story. Yeah. But it's really incredible. It's really, really, really amazing. I can't really describe it any other way.
I mean, I can imagine. Well, first of all, are you scared of heights at all, or no?
I actually am. But there's a mechanism on the dress where you're hooked onto the bubble. Yeah. And as far as I know, like, knock on wood, there's never been an issue. Yeah. And I mean, we have the best technicians in the world that work on our show. So even if there is, everything's safe and they get us out. But you're not, the highest that you go in the bubble is when you're preset up at the top. And even then, you don't really know because you're kind of like wedged between these two, like the front and the backdrop. So you've got a small space anyway, and you're in the bubble. So, I wouldn't, yes and no, I'm afraid of heights, but not terribly, but, yeah, I mean, I've gone skydiving, so I guess that's more of an answer, like, I'm not too scared of heights.
Yeah. But yeah, would never go skydiving. Yeah. That sounds terrifying to me, but beautiful, but terrifying.
But yeah, scary. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but terrifying. And also, do you ever see like people in the front row as they're coming down from the bubble? Do you ever like see their faces and like see kids like being like?
So I can't see I've never looked for the front row because you're basically on top of them, what it feels like. So when I do look out, like I usually see like mid orchestra and like up, because looking down like that, I'm assuming would be very disorienting. And you're kind of like leaning back into the bubble too, so you can't really like look over and down. Yeah, I have seen people's faces though that are like, you know, it's such an interesting thing that we do. Like, what? We're in a bubble.
And so and you get a whole different perspective of defying gravity too, which is awesome. I'm sure it's way different from being you could attest to that. Just like being on stage. That was for a second.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, when we do Defying Gravity, that's like whenever people ask like what's your favorite like moment in the show, I have different moments as an ensemble member and as Glinda. And one of my favorite moments as an ensemble member is standing under Elphaba and like being like, look at her, she's wicked, but also just remembering every moment that I've like belted that song out in my car and, you know, like looking up at Elphaba flying above you and you're like, this is the most insane moment now that's happening.
Yes.
It's just so cool.
And then kind of getting back into like more serious question. Mm-hmm. Since this industry is like so tough and you get a lot of no's and it's just like it can kind of like break you down sometimes. How do you work on self-confidence?
Yeah. I would say surround yourself with people who know you and who love you and who support you. And I would say just do as much work as you can to know yourself. I truly think that the things like you hear that your whole life. You hear like no one is you. You are unique, and like you shouldn't want to try to be anyone else. And yet it's so difficult to be completely individualistic. So, but I know that was the difference this time for me when I was able to book Wicked this time. I remember specifically going into that room when I was singing and going into that room when I was dancing and not comparing myself to anybody there. Just saying, you know, I have worked very hard and I am bringing the best of myself today to this room. And as long as I leave knowing that I've given my best and I've done everything in my power to be my best in this moment and in this audition, then I know that I've done everything that I can do. I can't help it if they want to cast somebody who's 6 foot tall. I'm not, you know, I can't help it if they like have it in their mind that they don't want a blonde. Like, I can't help that, you know, and I there are certain things that you can help and certain things that you can't. But one thing that you can do is go in and know that you are not in competition with anyone other than yourself. And I think the faster and quicker you can genuinely learn that, it will manifest in who you are and what you bring to the table. Because that took me a very long time to learn. You know, I used to even just look at audition notices and be like, well, what can I do to fit into this audition notice? As opposed to going in and just being myself genuinely and showing them what I had to offer. There's power in that because like you are, you know, it sounds so cliche, but it is just the truth of the matter. You are uniquely you, and there is something about you that makes you special, and there's only one of you. I think that's something. And just also knowing, I think another thing that I've been learning, and I've been learning my whole life, but also especially during this during COVID season, is just knowing that like what you do, what you get cast as, what people choose to trust you with, that doesn't define you, and it also does not, it's not your, it's not your identity. So like, yes, right now it's hard because I can't do the one thing that I like. I identify as an actor, but I also identify as so many other things, and like being forced to have that stripped away from you and say like, well, I'm not just my job, can be like a sad thing, but also is just a beautiful thing to realize like, oh, there's so much more about me than this one thing, you know? So yeah, I would say, don't compare yourself to anyone but yourself. Be kind to yourself and to others. And just realize that like, there's so much more to you than a job title or whether you got cast in your high school production or not. Like, there's a lot more to you than that.
Yeah, and like comparing yourself, it's like so true. Your mind is like toxic sometimes, and like automatically you want to compare yourself, but you just can't. Otherwise,
oh yeah, and it's just like I feel like it's part of part of our culture.
Yeah,
it's part of the human condition. It's just like a lot of it has to do with advertising and the way that like what we allow ourselves to in. Social media can be very dangerous in that aspect, but I think that we're in a really great place where we're trying to uplift one another and ourselves, and just like learn what is true and what isn't. Yeah, and I read a great thing that's like, you don't have to take away from, just because you're uplifting someone else doesn't mean it takes away from you. You know, when you're supporting other people, it doesn't take away from you. You can support the other people who are at that audition with you, and it won't take away from you, because if you know that you've done everything in your power to bring your best to the table, why would you not be a kind person and like tell them good luck, you know? Because why would you not just make the world a little brighter if you can?
For sure.
Yeah.
I agree. And how do you think this has been a rough time with no theater? How do you think live theater will be different when it is able to safely come back? And do you think virtual stuff will stick around?
I think that virtual stuff will. I think that even had this not happened, it would have been something that would have grown out of just the digital age that we're in. But I do think that there has been beauty that has come from this time, and that is the fact that while there are plenty of naysayers who want to say like, oh, theater will never come back the way that it was. Well, first of all, yes, it will. And second of all, I think this time is just showing us, you know, there's always those two turns of phrase. Those two turns of phrase that distance makes the heart grow fonder, and then out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. I totally believe the first. Like, distance does make the heart grow fonder. People crave theater. People crave connection. And I think that's one of the dangers of COVID right now, is that there's so much isolation. So when it is safe, people are going to like flock back to the theater. I read an article the other day about how this happened in the late 1400s, late 1400s, early 1500s. No, I said that wrong. During Shakespeare's time. And it was during the late 1500s, early 1600s, I believe. And and you know, that was during the bubonic plague, and that was it shut theater down for over a year. And when it came back, that's when Shakespeare wrote Macbeth, and that's when he wrote Romeo and Juliet. And people were like chomping at the bit to get back to the theater because they crave it. And this is no different. Even if it takes, you know, a few years for everything to be smoothly running again, it's part of the American tradition. Theater is in our blood as a nation. It's how we tell the truth. and how we are able to empathize with the different perspectives other than our own. I think it's been made even more apparent. You know, you saw that meme going around that's like, in your time of like isolation during COVID season, remember that you ran to the artists. Like, we ran to movies, we ran to music, we ran to TV shows, we ran to everything. Like, Hamilton was, everybody in the world downloaded Disney Plus so they could watch Hamilton. Like, and
live tweet it together.
Truly, and I just don't think that that's going to change. I was nervous even about that, about like shows doing these productions and putting them on TV, but I think if anything, that makes people more passionate about wanting to experience that in person.
For sure.
Yeah, so that was a long-winded answer, but it will come back. It will probably come back with a few, more safety precautions, but I think that once we have a cure for this, and once we have, a cure and then a potential vaccine, I think that people are craving normalcy and just like, even just human interaction, like people are craving. So it'll come back, and it'll be, I think, stronger than before.
Yeah, theater is definitely needed, especially right now. Yeah. It just makes there's something about it that makes people happy, no matter like what's going on in their life. It brings joy.
Yeah.
And lastly, is there anything that you've been doing or working on in quarantine that you want to promote, talk about, that we haven't touched on?
Let me think. Well, there were like projects that I was excited about. I was trying to do like create more content and like do collaborations with friends of mine and, sing songs with them and stuff. But then the world just kind of like exploded, and I thought, well, we're going to pivot and we're just going to bring voice to the people. Like, I'm going to leave my platform to just, I want to talk about the things that are going on in the world, about COVID, about, injustices that are everywhere. So I didn't do that. I will probably start that a little bit later because everybody needs a creative outlet. But no, other than that, really, I did a project recently. I did Pride and Prejudice. They did my friend Lawrence Rush wrote a musical, and he we did it about a year ago in February, and we partnered with a radio station in New York, and it's 2 parts, and I can actually send you the information so we can like put it in the bio or whatever.
Yeah, in the description.
But the first part, they're 45-minute little like radio segments of the musical, which is super fun, and it's a great show. So the first one aired on Saturday, but it's archived on the website, and the next one's airing next Saturday. So that's really fun. So I did that project. I've been taking classes just to try to stay, inspired. And other than that, just like learning a lot. We're in an election year, so learning a lot about how that all works and making sure that I'm registered to vote, that I know what I'm voting for. I think that's part of the beauty of being in this country. We get to vote, and it's really awesome. So yeah, just making sure that I know what that comes with, and I think that's pretty much all I've been up to. I mean, we're slowly but surely making our way back up to New York City, and so excited because we've been away for so long. So can't wait to get back to the city and just breathe her in.
Yeah, and see everything around, even if the theaters aren't open, just like see all the theaters and be like, okay, this exists all, cool, great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we're gonna have a car in the city because we have a car on tour, so that'll be the complete change of our experience in the city as well. So
ooh,
yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and to keep up with you and what you're doing in future projects that come out of quarantine, future like creativeness, where can people follow you on social media?
Yes, it's just my name. So it's at Jennafer Newberry. And I spell Jennifer with an A. So it's Jennafer Newberry, Newberry.
Okay, and I was curious, a random question, but I was curious, has it always been spelled with an A, wow.
Yeah,
I've never seen it spelled that way before, so I was like, wow, that's a very unique way of spelling it.
Yeah, it's always been spelled with an A, and it's so funny, I have another friend who spells her name the exact same way that I met at Disney, and, yeah, it's just, so, like, when I met her, I told her, because she was wearing it on her shirt, and I was like, that's my name. And she's like, cool. And I was like, no, that's my name. Like, the A and everything, that's my name. And I had to show her my ID to prove it to her. And it was just such a funny moment, because neither one of us had ever met another Jennafer in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, super fun.
Well, thanks for talking to me on this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Becca, this was so fun. Thank you. Yeah. I'm so glad that you're getting to talk to so many people, and just, like, it's so great to even just talk about theater and talk about, life. So thank you for
Theater Alive
be a part of this.
Yeah, I'm happy you were part of this. Yeah, keeping theater alive is the best. Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!